Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. Once again, it is time for the Monday Q&A, and again, you guys had so many good questions, and I'm probably going to do a couple of these and answer at least 10 of the questions. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Alright, let's get right into these questions. First question. Thoughts on Alberto Nunez's upper-lower split for intermediates? I actually had to go watch his video and look this up because I wasn't familiar with it after I saw this question. And after having looked it over, I'm a little unclear on his progression, and he didn't make that as clear as I might have liked, but my overall assessment of the routine, it actually looks pretty good. It looks very viable for an intermediate bodybuilder, and I would have no problem recommending this routine at all. I think it's one of the better intermediate routines floating around there, and I feel comfortable recommending it having looked it over. Alright, next question. What are your thoughts on D-aspartic acid as a testosterone booster or optimizer? Alright guys, I've covered this topic more than once, and I've actually covered in detail in other videos, complete with links to studies discussing exogenous testosterone use and how different levels impact muscle growth. And the problem with something like DAA is that it isn't 100% proven to increase testosterone in everybody yet. There's some data suggesting it, but it's not conclusive. And the amounts that are shown that it can increase it are enough to potentially cause negative side effects, but they may not actually be high enough to cause measurable amounts of muscle growth. So you might actually be taking a product that boosts it just enough for you to possibly get gyno or some acne, but maybe not enough for you to gain an extra pound of muscle off of. And it actually costs more than testosterone does. So I personally don't recommend this product, and it kind of comes back to the question of if you're going to put synthetic hormones into your body for the purpose of increasing the amount of anabolic hormones in your body to try to get them above the normal level, you're right on the edge of juicing anyways. You might as well just take the plunge and go buy a few amps of testosterone and dart that shit up at that point. I mean, that's just my take on it, but to each their own. Alright, next question. Dear Jason, my right lat has some size, my left lat is smaller. I mean, I can feel it, but when I flex them both, the right one is much bigger. Alright, this problem does develop for a lot of people. And what I recommend, even though I normally recommend things like barbell rows and deadlifts to be your primary back builders, what I am going to recommend is that you go to one-arm dumbbell rows. And always start with your weaker side. Make sure that you get as many reps on your weaker side as you're going to get on your stronger side by always doing it first. So always lead with it. And I would do that for a few months as your primary back builder until you get things balanced out. And I think that's the best way to deal with this particular situation. Now, if you want to do some of the other heavy movements after, go ahead and do them after. But anytime you train back, the dumbbell rows need to be first up until you sort this imbalance out. Next question. Hey Jason, on a bulk, would reducing calories to maintenance or even slightly below maintenance on non-training days have a negative impact on muscle gain? The idea of this would be to reduce fat gains while being in a surplus on training days to build that muscle. Alright, yes, this will negatively impact your muscle growth. You have to remember that if you're only eating your surplus on your training days, are you eating double the surplus? Otherwise, you're not getting the total weekly surplus you need for optimum gains, first of all. So that kind of begs the question, are you eating a 25% surplus on your training days so that you can eat maintenance on others so that you get your weekly total? Now, if you're doing that, you might get away with it, but you're still not going to gain any more muscle or any less fat doing this. And vice versa, if you were to just lower your total intake, you would gain less fat, but it would also inhibit your muscle gain. So you're trying to cheat something that you really can't. And there are negatives to eating lower calories on your days off from training. Number one, you're still trying to gain muscle on those days. So less food means that you are not going to be as anabolic on the days when you actually might need it for additional muscle growth. Two, the carbs you eat the day before are generally a large portion of your training fuel during a session the next day. So by having less calories and less carbs, you might have lower glycogen stores and thus reduce performance, thus gaining less muscle on your bulk. And on top of that, the human body doesn't even work on a 24-hour digestive process. You are still digesting and absorbing some of the food that you ate yesterday right now. So you need to stop thinking so much in these static terms of the food I ate today is completely utilized today and everything works on a 24-hour system. It doesn't work that way. All right, last question in this one. When should one expect to implement testosterone boosters into their stack? Well, going back to the one on DAA, most testosterone boosters don't work. And the ones that do work don't boost testosterone enough to make a measurable difference in muscle mass gains. So I would say, unless you have a reason such as a sexual dysfunction and you want to try it as just something to help you get a hard-on better, they're not going to be particularly helpful to your bodybuilding goals. I would recommend never. And again, it goes back to the question of if you're trying to manipulate your anabolic hormones, there are cheaper and more effective methods of doing this. And since you don't want to be natural, which means you're trying to get supralogical levels of hormones, the obvious and most efficient answer is to just put them into your body directly. So again, it begs the question, do you want to be natural or do you want to have supralogical levels of hormones? You need to make up your mind, guys. Do you want normal hormones or do you want chemically enhanced hormone levels? It's really silly to skirt the line in between, especially when skirting the line doesn't give you any benefits most of the time other than a thinner wallet. Alright guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I will do at least one more of these to answer some more questions, and I will talk to you guys next time.